Kevin better start preaching again, I guess.
Oh, good. Okay. Looks good. Oh, yeah, I forgot those were on the same.
Go ahead. Y'all go ahead and whirl.
Okay.
Go ahead, Bob.
Okay. All right. Well, just tell us about your earliest memories here. We'll go on from there.
Okay, my earliest memory here were when I started as a child, and I was 7 years old when I started church here. We had moved to East Nashville from the farm, and we had to walk. We lived about a mile or more from church, and we had to walk to church, but this church showed its personality right off the bat because we had some nice people here that would come and pick us up in the car when they could come. So they got us going here, and we've been here ever since. Now, my wife and I live in Sumner County now, but we've kept coming here because, and the main reason, and I tell this to people that I witness to, that I like to see what goes on here because people here are loving and kind and friendly and are always wanting to help and do things for you. And that kind of rubbed off on us too. We felt the same way. So we've stayed here all these years, and a lot of our people moved to Hendersonville because we had the lake to be built out there since I came, and people built houses out there, and a lot of our people moved out there. But I'm glad we stayed here because I've enjoyed being under 4 different pastors since we moved here. And I was baptized. I accepted Christ and went forward in a revival when I was 11 years old here, and was baptized the week after that. Brother J. Harold Stevens was our pastor at that time, and he's the one who baptized me, and I'll never forget how I felt when he did that. I don't know, it felt almost like I was shaking the hands of Jesus because I was so happy at the time. First thing I could do is to go home and tell my parents and my family about it, and they all rejoiced with me. But I can remember over the years, there are so many things that I thought were memorable, and I can remember when I first started here, this brick building was not here. We had the basement, and I remember going to the basement and worshiping a few times down there, and Brother Stevens was the pastor when I did that. I remember when the cornerstone was laid, my mother came to that, and I didn't come for some reason or other, but I remember when she got back home and was telling about it, I was thinking, well, I sure hope that I'll live to see when they take that cornerstone out, and so I can see what was in it. And she told me some of the things, but I don't remember what they were, but it was something that I do remember. I can remember that we had revivals during those days, and sometimes our revivals would be a week long. They were longer revivals, but we had a lot of people saved during that. And when I first came here, this church had a large congregation. In fact, we had the ushers we have nowadays take up the offering, but back then they not only took up the offering, but they found the seats for people because the seats were scarce. It was hard to find a seat. And I've seen it on days when we'd fill up the pews in the auditorium, but we'd also have to put chairs down in the aisles and out here in the foyer and even up front. That's how many people we would have here. But that changed somewhat when Hendersonville came into being and people moved there. But there's an atmosphere here where I like being with people that love you and care for you, and you mean something to them, and you can mean something. They can mean something to you too. But I think that when I first came into this building, and I remember when I was in the primary department when we first came here, we would be asked to bring a dime to put in our offering envelope when we came to pay for a brick to build this building here. So some of us children, there were children then, helped build this building here with dimes that we brought to Sunday school to put a brick in this building. And there's a lot of bricks in here, so I feel like I'm responsible for 1 or 2 of those. These windows at the time, we didn't have fans, we didn't have heating and air. We had windows though that would open, and the windows on this side, the windows on the other side would be open during the church service, which made it insects and so on from the outside, maybe even a bird or two, would fly in every now and then and upset the, disturb the congregation. But I remember my mother always, we sat down about where I sit on Sunday. I remember one time we were sitting there and it was right in the middle of the service, and I saw a big red wasp come in the window there, and for of all the people in there, she's always been afraid of wasps. That wasp headed right for her, and I thought, oh no, this is going to be a scene. She jumped up right in the middle of the service and she went to fighting that wasp. Evidently, I don't know whether she scared it or hit it, but it disappeared, and then she sat back down and worshiped. But that's just one of the things. I can remember one man that when he would come to church, he would drive his John Deere tractor over here. That's how he got to church. But when he came in, he'd sit down over on the right side over there, and every Sunday he'd go sleep. And I just know when he'd get out of his tractor and come in, it wouldn't be long till he'd go to sleep. There are a lot of little things that you remember like that are meaningful to you in the long run. But I taught Sunday school here for, I guess, in the youth department, maybe 15 years or more. My mother taught here, Bob Mingle. She taught before I did, and she's the one that got me interested in teaching in that class. And then I've served as a deacon. I was a deacon. I became a deacon in 1968, and I've been a deacon ever since. Served as chairman and different other offices in the church. But I have participated in many ways here, and one of the things I remember fondly is that when Brother Hopkins was here, we went through a program called Evangelism Explosion, and I learned how to witness to people then. It's been the most helpful thing probably I've ever done. I don't know that I would have been able to do that in a lot of other churches, but we had it here, and we've always had an emphasis on that. My next pastor after Brother Hopkins was Brother Kearney Bailey, and we had witnessing going on then, and then with Kevin, it's been the same with him too. We had what we call the faith program here, and I taught in that, but we would go out after we'd meet each week, and then we'd go out into the neighborhood and witness. A lot of people came into our church and were saved, became Christians because of that program. So it's things like that go on that you look back on and you think, well, I'm sure glad we did it, because you see the results of that in the long run. And it makes it look like we're a church that's here to serve the Lord and to witness to people and bring people to Christ. So those are some of the things. There are a lot of other things that went on here over the years. I could probably go all night with that, but we'll let it go there unless you had any more questions.
Perfect.
All right.
Totally perfect.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
So much good stuff. Thank you.
Thank you.